Octonauts was a teenage show. Yes, real quick, I know I've been gone for 6 months. At this point, I can't apologize anymore. I'm a university student. I have so many plans for everything, and it gets to be a lot. I'll get to it at the end, but I disappear a lot because I'm a student, so I shouldn't apologize for it every video, I think. Hi, I'm Ed Mashtetti, animation student, hobbyist songwriter, and fencer. Okay, after my PJ Masks and Paw Patrol video, people started requesting things like Wildcrats and Octonauts, and I never watched either, so I started doing homework. I watched a bunch of episodes of Octonauts, and then I burned out. And then I got back into it! Octonauts is really cute and for kids, and I thought, how am I possibly gonna make this one for teens? And then I watched more, and then this character Shellington said that he became an Octonaut because sea otters help the environment by consuming sea urchins. But he's allergic and he feels bad that he can't help out. And I thought, I have an idea. The world's in a pretty bad way right now, right? Let's say it was in a way worse condition back in when should I set this? The 60s to 80s, maybe.
Was that the bite of 87?
So we're in the 70s, and suddenly animals are dying out in droves. So ecological niches are dying out, food chains are going haywire. Eventually, humans begin suffering. So somehow, by cool sci-fi pseudoscience, the government somehow figures out— I didn't need to say somehow twice. The government figures out how to turn humans into animals for specific reasons, not for fun. For jobs. They're turning humans into animals that do specific things. For example, no beavers? We're turning 30,000 humans into beavers so they can make dams. Or something. So, Shellington and all the rest were humans, and he feels bad. He was made to keep the sea urchin population under control, but he can't. And if any nerd comes into the comments like, well, actually, animals don't really— please, guys, it's just a show, and it's not even a real show. But I mean, if you do actually have, nerd stuff to info dump about in the comments, go ahead. I do want to hear it. I'm just saying that this isn't gonna be realistic, so don't have those expectations. There's obviously our captain, Captain Barnacles. Actual name, Captain Barnes or something. Here he was as a human, just a regular old sea captain. His hair is white as snow, he's an older man. From having watched the show, I really like him. He's actually very cute and responsible, and he clearly cares deeply for his team, and I enjoy that fact. But then, boom, the animal crisis hits, and he is turned into, something quite endangered, the polar bear. Why him? Why such an important unicorn-esque animal? Maybe the more endangered your animal, I guess the better you must be. Some people just get turned into, chickens, meaning you're kind of useless and you can be a farm animal. By the way, I love chickens. I'm not saying that I see them in that way. So Captain Barnes, aka Barnacles, is turned into a polar bear and he becomes the captain of the Octonauts. Oh, now that I think about it, he has a sister who is also a polar bear. Maybe it's done by family, rather than person-by-person basis. So Captain Barnes, aka Barnacles, is turned into a polar bear and he becomes the captain of the Octonauts, founded by this dude here. We'll talk about him later. Update: I never wrote anything in my script about Professor Inkling. He's chill, for real. Anyway. What was the last thing I said? Captain Barnes, he's physically the strongest, does the most, and he's not like most old army captains who just sat around while their troops did everything for them. He has claustrophobia from a time he was stuck in a hole in a cave as a child when he was a scout. Still, he knows he can't just not go into caves and holes because, he works in the ocean to save creatures. And we all know what cave divers like doing. Oh, about that, by the way, the Octonauts and the other kinds of brigades like them aren't meant to save the last remaining animals. Yes, they are. Are meant to save the last remaining real animals, like the non-anthropomorphic ones. To make things a little bit darker and more teenage-ish, Barnacles has a lot of pressure on him. He's leading a team that's basically meant to revive the dying ocean, and that's insane for a person of any age. And he's an animal. And yes, everyone's an animal, but that, doesn't make people want to be animals. Unless you want to be an animal, but he doesn't. Also, some people in the comments of my previous video were asking why it had to be dark or traumatic to be adult. And you're right, it doesn't. This Octonauts rewrite won't be too traumatic, but there's always the underlying trauma of being in a dying world. There's trauma in being a survivor of things like poverty, of famine, of disease. Of always being in survival mode. But anyway, next is Quasi, who has 2 eyes in his name for some reason. He's a cat, he's reckless, his grandpa is a pirate. Pirates are all glamorous, but remember, in real life, modern pirates are not glamorous. So, let's make Calico Jack, his grandpa, be kind of a bad human being. Or used to be a bad human being, now he's a bad cat. You hate to see it. But right now is about Quasi. He used to look like this. Also an older man, not quite as old as Barnacles. He canonically has both eyes, but covers one to be like his grandpa. I find that a little bit childish, so let's take his eye. I hope I didn't clip the mic. Take his eye. Okay, it should be fine. Perhaps an eye infection got him. He's Barnacle's second in command. He got turned into a cat because he and his family are just, like, very normal, minus the guy who is a pirate. He's just meant to, like, be a rat catcher or something. Never had much of an important role, which makes him like Barnacle's opposite. I bet he has a complex about that.
You think you're better than me?
He's the problematic fave in that he looks up to his grandpa, who is a pirate. Like I said, not a good Army Hearties pirate, like a modern pirate that you see horror compilations of on TikTok with that one freaky audio, you know which one. I love him. He does too much, and he's the character in the young adult show that gets into trouble and pays for it in like the season 2 finale. No one can control him, he's very rebellious, unless of course he gets Catrud / Darcy / Bippard / Hunter. You could make a compilation of me saying that. Oh, also, because I don't know what his real name would be, because like, why Quasi? Why does he have 2 eyes in his name? I was thinking maybe like Constantine, but his real name gives me nothing to work with in terms of nationality, at least I think. I'm inclined to say, you know how in the military you can often get an embarrassing nickname? Maybe everyone here has their embarrassing nickname. Next is Peso, who I prefer the American dub voice they gave him over the British one.
I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, I just got a couple of spikes.
He's named after a currency. He's the medic, he's adorable, and he's a panda.
Oh my god, bro.
He's a penguin, I mean. He's the most gentle and polite, and can drive all of the vehicles. Here's what I think he'd look like as a human. He's a doctor, meaning he's intelligent, so why is he a penguin? Penguins apparently transport nutrients from sea to land and fertilize it, which is coincidentally good for the fact that he can drive well. I'm not saying that the government turned him into a penguin for his driving ability, though. Next is Shellington, who is Scottish! He's the marine biologist and failure. Why did I write that in my script? That's so mean. He can't eat sea urchins, so he's not helpful to the environment. In human form, I envision him looking like this. And yes, I am a Magnus Archives fan.
Hello, John. Apologies for the deception, but
Anyway, I tried to give him a different body type, but I'm not used to drawing anthro animals, so I don't think it worked out, especially with the fact that sea otters kind of just look like tubes. Shellington is an awful driver. Maybe his name is like Stuart or Seamus or Sean. He's usually with Dashi on missions, and he takes care of these things, called the Vegemals. I bet Octonauts fans were wondering where the Vegemals were in my rewrite, and I don't even know where to put them in this rewrite. Why would you turn vegetables into animals? Maybe there's some lore I'm missing. Sorry, I couldn't go through an entire children's show. Anyway, how could I make the Vegemals work in my style? How can you unify a turnip and a tuna? Like, actually how? How would that actually look? Because I don't think it would look as cute as the Vegemals do. Moving on, next is our first girl of the group, Dashi, another weird name, but anyway. This is how I envision her, and it's just Sasha James from the Magnus Archives. She's the IT officer and photographer and gets herself into situations in pursuit of a good picture. She's a Dachshund dog? Is that how you say it? I've said it that way my whole life. I grew up with Puppy in My Pocket. Did anyone else grow up with Puppy in My Pocket? And apparently, in the past, bigger versions of those were used for hunting and chasing other animals. Maybe she's really fast, despite being tiny, and that's what helps her get good photos. Also helps that her name is Dashi. I think it would be more interesting if she and other dogs were meant to hunt animals that are overpopulated, but she decided not to do that because she couldn't handle killing, and now she wields a camera instead. She's got an Australian voice in the UK dub, and I love that. Lastly, there's Tweak, who in the original books was apparently a boy, but she isn't in the show, and I thought I'd give her like a Rosie the Riveter type of look with a mechanic jumpsuit. Also, she's green. I don't know why she's green. Like radiation? But I don't like it. Would you guys be mad if I just made her a yellow bunny? Okay, editing me here, apparently she glows in the dark. I don't even know whether I should keep that. I guess it'd be cool, but like, okay. Anyway, I thought it'd be cool if she was very no-nonsense and not as kind as Dashi, the more grounded, down-to-earth person. Very, who is this diva? A bit sick of people crashing the gups, Shellington. So, why is she a rabbit? I could go darker here and say, well, maybe she's a rabbit because they ran out of prey animals for, say, real foxes. Like, what if not useful families are turned into prey animals and she got out of that lifestyle and joined the Octonauts with her mechanicking knowledge? Is that too dark? For a more lighthearted answer, maybe she is a bunny because the grass was getting overpopulated, so they needed people to eat more grass. The story would revolve around these guys trying to save the ocean. But who's the villain? Well, I don't know if it's that kind of story. I think the villain would be the people trying to ruin the environment. Occasionally, there's an episodic villain, like maybe they could find Calico Jack and he's not everything Quasi thought he was looking up to. Or maybe it's Professor Inkling. I didn't write this into my script, but you know how I feel about the founder of the company is evil. The darkness of the show doesn't lie much in what happens in it, like for the first couple seasons, but in the horrors of the situation itself. These people don't want to be animals, they don't want to be exploring dark sea caves, except for Dashi and Quasi because they're insane and best friends. The world is dying / already dead, and they're trying to resurrect it. In the end of the show, they'd probably take a bigger villain down, but not the leader of a company like I did for the PJ Masks and Paw Patrol rewrite. Probably a force of nature or pollution. Anyway, I promised something 6 months ago, that I'd show off who made characters for my little series idea, The Knight's Handbook, or Project Knight, I'm not sure. I didn't end up taking it far because university and life got in the way, but I'm gonna try and get through some of them now. If I don't make it through all of them, I'll do it in the next video until they're done. Thank you to so many people participating in my DTIYS, or Draw Your Own OC? DYOOC? The premise is basically this. When people sacrifice themselves for somebody else and die because of it, they're resurrected as knights with powers and a mortal wound symbol that they can pull a weapon out of. Very crystal gems of me. And if I don't feature yours, tell me and I'll add it in the end of next video. If you have 2 characters, I'll probably just be featuring one unless they were part of the same post. These are not in order because Tumblr for some reason wouldn't let me access the tag The Knight's Handbook. So anyway, let's get into it. First, we have Lele Artsy's Casper, so Joan of Arc coded, and apparently I'm not too wrong for thinking of that. And she died for her sister by taking her name. I love the siblings pretending to be each other trope so much. I do it occasionally myself. What a metal idea. Mystic Arts did a bunch of OCs. My favorite is her blind knight Asta, the other being Leona, who is based off of the Queen of Summer and Winter, which is a cool thing to make an OC from. Leona apparently also has like 2 forms too, which is awesome. Big fan of the 2-form characters. Then there's Ambriel Angstwitch's 3rd character, Antoine, who used to be a lumberjack and died by pushing another lumberjack out of the way of a falling tree. A lot of historical research seems to have gone into Antoine, so kudos for that. Then there's Marvin Art's character, Estea. I love her red jacket and the pose is so dynamic. Her icy blue eyes provide a wonderful contrast to her blonde and red colors, so good job. This person actually did something very different. An older knight, someone who looks visibly older and died later on in life. As a matter of fact, they made 2 older knights and 1 younger. This is the work of Sleepy Creature Inc. This is Credence Gallo, and in his knight form, he just gets a tailcoat, which is hysterical. I love that. And I love the placement of his mortal wound. I love the dynamic between him and young Eunice, who is 15. They really look like the era they died in. Amazing job. Then there's Dallas Pax, who gave their character such a gorgeous knight form. I would kill for that jacket in red. His name is Mekai, and he was friends with the former queen, which I love. You questioned if you could have your character tied to the plot, and I say absolutely. Go ahead with it. Next one is Red Sea Ate Me, who I love the style of. Your style looks like it could actually be in a TV show, and the color scheme, clearly you know your stuff, no need to flex on us. Also, their name is Red. As a red fencer, I am jealous. Also, first rogue knight, hell yes. I love that their mortal wound is quite long, it's super interesting. Next up is cartoonish's Matilda, who seems not to remember her own death date nor how she died, which is very interesting to me. Also, I love the giant hammer. Look at this shape language. I aspire to make my style as shapy as yours. Then there's one of the more different knights from Neowo Me Nutella, hope I said that right, Damien Forrest, who has cat-like features and wings. I love that combination. It's so owlish, because I think owls are the cats of the bird world. And my favorite part, look at her true knight form. This wins creativity hands down. It's so fantasy elfish or whatever, I don't know much about fantasy. Next is Finified's Orion, whose weapon is the same kind of weapon that killed him, which is metal. His civilian outfit is something I'd love to wear unironically, and his book being filled with notes is so real. I'm just like that, and I totally get it. Then there's Peridot, whose knight has the coolest name, Eris Song Winters. She's 19, same, and her color is red, same. She's got a garnet sort of thing going on where half of her mortal wound is on one hand and the other is on her other hand, and she can summon gauntlets. That is awesome. Approved. I mean, all the characters are approved, but you know what I mean. Next is Weasel's character, who looks so cool. Do I see hints of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or like Five Nights at Freddy's or Undertale? No? I'm just chronically online? Okay. Amazing job on this. Then there's Inko's Indigo and Romy. Indigo is so cute, and I love Romy's giant flower tattoo-esque mortal wounds in the place of their burn. But Indigo's is so much darker, their head was smashed in? Nobody talked to me for a week. Also, enjoys debates, you and me both, kid. Next up is Poseidon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7's Matthew, who I love the colors of. I love the sword's look, and I think it's very cool how he's got constellations in his jacket. By the way, at some point, I want to do something about swords, because I'm a fencer, and I think it'd be fun to draw them like that. Like, turn them into something. Then there's Funky Lil Blob's character, who they say was made to look like a northern cardinal bird, which, yes, I love when characters are based off of birds or flowers. Again, Rain is an older character, and she looks so tough. Then there's also Berodactyl of the Blog's character, who is unnamed and died of suffocation. That is such a dark way to go, but this character looks like such a sweetheart, especially in their colors. Next, we have our first false knight by the Fae artist who orchestrated an assassination on his friend, and then sacrificed himself to become a knight, which is insane. Then there's Mira by Dragon625, whose death is so unlucky. Her brother was on an electrical tower, she climbed up to go get him, and then was struck by lightning. Ouch. Also, cool mortal wound. I like how structured and polygonal it is because she died to electricity. Another character with an awesome mortal wound is Sinner's Respite, or Sinner's Respite, the Lantern Knight, who died in the 1600s. Her shield looks so awesome and, like, what's the word? Detailed or ornate? Next up is a knight character from my friend. Here is Moon X Flowers Azel, who is so cute. I'm a sucker for cute girly characters. She lost her arm, so now she can pull her sword from it. Also, she died on her date night. That is too sad. But what else can I expect from Moonflower? If you guys want a really sad and beautiful Legend of Zelda story, go follow them on Instagram and Tumblr. Then there's Panda Girl 314159's adorable character, Evelyn, who died saving people during an earthquake in the 1800s. I love her dress, it's very of the time, and I love how she and her handbook are both glowing. She looks incredible. Good job. A random entity did something which I haven't seen anyone do, which is a Batwing style mortal wound, which is so cool. And the little dragon on their shoulder is a really cute touch. A knight who was friends with a dragon instead of fighting dragons? There's Phoebusor 7's character, Domitius, or Domitius? Sorry if I'm saying it incorrectly. He has a cool bird, and you say you don't know how to draw birds, which I totally get. They are hard to draw. I love how much gear he seems to have on him. He seems very well protected and ready for the job. And his sword is awesome and detailed and ornate. Those two words are synonymous, I really didn't need to say that. Deceased Cardinal's character is apparently a cringe theater kid. All theater kids are cringe, I should know. Ronnie Symbol is gorgeous, and apparently he's obsessed with ants. I personally can't relate to that. Also, this isn't even his knight form. He hasn't unlocked it. This is just what he wears day to day. You might have created the theater kid. Then there's Shinobu Lover, who actually made a character who is the wife of one of mine, which is something I haven't seen before. Anira Vitali is their fan-made character, the wife of my character, Captain Vitali. The gold and periwinkle blue of her design work very well together. She's apparently heavily inspired by Entrapta of She-Ra, and I love She-Ra. It's my favorite animated series for sure, so naturally I really like Anira. Cal the Imp artist made Reha, who is studying to become a professor. Femmes in STEM, femmes in STEAM, girls in STEM, I don't know. She died defending her dad, which isn't something I've seen so often. It's usually protecting younger siblings, so this is actually really refreshing. I love her weapon. It's so unique. I've got to do more research into these kinds of things. Mitchmodge did something I have not seen before. Having their knight's head be the mortal symbol. Fire. I love when characters have object heads, especially fire, though I wonder if that's hard to animate. Then there's Ryustari's OC. She's gorgeous, he's so stylish, and I love the style of their hair. Also, you are really good at expressions, because she looks justifiably horrified, and I love it. Amazing job. One of the earlier OCs is from File Could Not Load, Please Try Again. Their name is Dixie, as I understand, and they're not actually based off of European knights. Rather, their design is based off of Chinese dress, because they died during the Qing dynasty. I hope I said that right. Also, they are the current successor of the Captain of the Royal Guard, which is awesome. I encourage characters like this. Then there's Amphibia XD's character Candy, who is so cute and her name fits her perfectly, although her real name is Celeste, which is so pretty. What I love here the most is these little representation of how she is during each season of the story. I love doing that for my own characters, and I love seeing that in other people's. Finally, there's Kes by Wisteria. He looks like an absolute angel. Perfect colors for him. He's a poet, which I support. More young people should get into studying actual poetry. He died by being run over by a train. Leave my child Kes alone, please. I'm kidding. You did so well on him. So yeah, that is the Knight's Handbook OCs. Thank you so much for taking part in that little series. I appreciate all of you. And hopefully videos will come out more consistently, and hopefully my next few videos might be on camera. I have so much less time than I thought now being a university student, so we'll see, but I always enjoy being here when I am. That's been me. If you like this video, consider joining Jupiter's orbit. If not...